Hi, my name is Amy Long Carrera, corporate dietitian at Shield Healthcare. Today, we're going to talk about how to bolus feed through your feeding tube. Bolus feeding is a type of feeding in which you use a syringe to deliver formula through your tube. It may also be called syringe feeding or gravity feeding because you actually use a syringe to allow the formula to flow by gravity down your feeding tube. Most people will take a bolus feeding every few hours or so, and each feeding should take about 20 minutes. This type of feeding allows you to have more freedom in your daily activities. In order to bolus feed, you will need a 60 milliliter catheter tip or oral syringe, a cup of room temperature water, and formula. Always wash your hands before handling your tube or any supplies. If you have a low-profile feeding tube, the first thing you need to do is prime the extension set before attaching it to the feeding tube. Priming the extension set removes any air that could otherwise enter your stomach and cause discomfort. The first thing you'll do to start your bolus feeding is to remove the plunger from the syringe and attach the syringe to your extension tube. Pour in 10 to 15 milliliters of water and allow it to flow just to the end of the tubing. Next, clamp the extension tubing. Now you're ready to attach it to your feeding tube. If you have a regular gastrostomy tube, flush your tube with water. This will help to push anything through that might be stuck in the tube from your previous feeding. To flush your tube with water, remove the plunger from the syringe. Next, take your syringe and attach it to your feeding tube. Now you'll pour in 10 to 15 milliliters of water into the syringe and let it flow through your tube. Now go ahead and grab your formula container. You'll want to shake it and clean off the top before you open it. With your other hand, slowly pour formula into the syringe. Allow it to flow by gravity into your stomach. It should take about 15 minutes to give yourself about an 8-ounce can of formula. You can speed your feeding up or slow it down depending on your tolerance. You're more likely to tolerate your feeding better if you're sitting upright during your bolus feeding and for at least half an hour afterward. So to make your formula flow faster, you can actually raise your syringe higher in relation to your stomach, or you can take your plunger and push the formula through. You can make the formula flow more slowly by lowering your syringe in relation to your stomach. Or you can try taking only a quarter of the can or half of the can at a time with a few minutes break in between. You may need to slow down your formula if you experience nausea or fullness during your feeding. You may also need to slow down your formula if you have diarrhea or an upset stomach immediately after your feeding. Refrigerate any leftover formula for up to 24 hours, and remember to take it out about 30 minutes before your feeding. Cold formula can upset your stomach. For more tips and tricks on tube feeding, be sure to visit shieldhealthcare.com.